Hey parents, there's something a lot of us accidentally do today, and I think I'm guilty of this as well. We protect our kids too much. So much that we weaken them. We remove discomfort. We remove rejection. We remove boredom. We remove struggle. And then we wonder why they grow up anxious, fragile, scared to fail, and terrified to take risks. See, as an entrepreneur, I've realized something. The same traits that help you survive in business are the same traits that help you survive in life. So as both a dad and an entrepreneur, I have two major goals for my girls. Number one is to raise anti-fragile kids. And number two is to expose them to as much of the world as possible. Not perfect grades, not the perfect college, not the best athlete of the team, and not becoming just mini versions of me. I want them to become adaptable humans, and humans that can handle life. Let me explain. There's this great book by Nassim Taleb, and he introduces this concept called anti-fragile. It's the name of the book. I love this idea. See, fragile things, they break under pressure, but anti-fragile things actually get stronger because of risk, uncertainty, and doubt. And guess what? That's entrepreneurship. And honestly, that's life. You don't avoid pain forever. You don't get to avoid disappointment forever. And you don't get to avoid rejection forever. At some point, you're going to skin your knee. You're going to fail the test. Someone will break your heart and you're going to lose the opportunity. That's life. And one of the biggest mistakes parents make is trying to eliminate all adversity from their child's life. See, adversity in the right dose is necessary. See, the lows are what actually make the highs meaningful. So with my girls, who today are 10 and 7, we try to create little anti-fragile moments, small reps. See, because confidence doesn't magically appear. Confidence is earned throughout reps. So maybe it's, hey, Margot, you fell off your scooter. Get back on. Or you're nervous to jump in the deep end of the pool. You can do it. Or go knock on that neighbor's door if you want to see if they can play. And guess what? If the neighbor says no, go to the next house and ask them. That tiny moment matters. That's resilience training. That's building a growth mindset. And if I could choose one trait for my kids to have when they grow up, it would be a growth mindset. Not talent, not intelligence, not perfect grades, a growth mindset. And guess what? Entrepreneurship teaches you really quickly that if you can't adapt, you die. Businesses fail, industries change, technology shifts, the market adapts. The people who survive are the people willing to learn, adjust, and try again. And it's exactly the same with life. The second thing I care deeply about as an entrepreneur dad is exposure. I want my kids to taste the world, and I mean that both literally and figuratively. Travel, food, conversations, different cultures, different viewpoints, different generations, because the exposure creates possibility. And the scary thing is most people only choose from the options they've seen. They only know the menu of what they've been exposed to. Think about that. The career you pursue, the city you live in, the type of person you're going to date. The lifestyle you think is normal is based on exposure. And so if you never see another path, you never know that another path exists. See, I grew up right here in South Dakota. I love South Dakota, but a small bubble can become limiting if you never leave. So my wife and I intentionally travel with our girls. And I'll be honest here, parents, it's not always that easy. My kids still want to eat mac and cheese and chicken tenders everywhere we go. So often my kids and I are butting heads because I'm saying things like, just try the food. Come on, we're going to take the trip. Go introduce yourself to that person. But see, that discomfort matters. The goal is not comfort. The goal is expansion. And entrepreneurship works the exact same way. See, you have to expose as a leader, as a CEO, you have to expose yourself to new ideas, new technology, new trends, new people. You can't become a better leader while staying inside the same bubble forever. And that's what I always tell my entrepreneurs that I coach. Let's stack experiences. New experiences build perspective. Perspective builds wisdom, and wisdom compounds. Okay, now let's talk money. Our relationship with money is almost always informed by how our parents' relationship with money was and how we grew up around it. So I don't give my kids an allowance. The real world does not say, hey, John, here's money that I'm going to give you every week, no matter what. See, I want my kids to understand value creation. When they do standard chores, that's just part of contributing to the household. So you make your bed, you brush your teeth, you clean up after yourself. That's baseline behavior. But when they do go above and beyond, I'm happy to reward that effort. The other day, my 10-year-old Margot, she cleaned the entire main floor of our house. I just asked her, I gave her a mop and asked her to help out a little bit. She swept, she mopped, she vacuumed, she organized everything. She was so locked in, you couldn't stop her. She got mad at me for leaving my keys on the counter. And by the end, I gave her $10 and I said, hey, thank you for working really hard. You were very dedicated to that project. I want her to connect effort with value. We also talk a lot about saving money. That means growing money, investing money. My youngest daughter, Liv, and I recently started a business with AI. So it was a rainy weekend in Sioux Falls, and they said there's nothing to do. I said, let's do a puzzle. No. Let's play a board game. No. I tried all options, and then I finally said, hey, let's build a business. And my 7-year-old, her eyes lit up. She said, yes, let's do it. So we started talking, and she had just seen me order some items on Target Circle online, just kind of some repeatable household items. So her idea was a mini Target. So there we are on the computer. I'm sitting there with Claude Code pulled up and Liv right next to me. She's telling me what she wants. I'm telling Claude what Liv wants. And so there we were. In 90 minutes, we published livonmain.com. When I bought the domain, I told her that's $19. I made her pay for it from her piggy bank. It's connected to our Stripe, and every time somebody in the neighborhood buys a product, I give her some cash back. She's figuring out right there in real time how a business works. Now, if I'm being honest, the business model, it needs some work, right? I was trying to explain to her recurring revenue. Maybe she should go water the neighborhood plants. She could do that every week throughout the summer. But, a 7-year-old, it was her idea. She was stuck and committed to her idea. The point here is that I want her to build. I wanted her to see how her idea became a reality with just a little bit of effort, some trying, some experimenting. And that matters to me way more than the outcome. And here's the big lesson, I think, for all of us parents. Make sure your kids create more than they consume. Teach them to create ideas, create conversations, create businesses, create opportunities. That mindset changes everything. The last thing we really try to focus on as an entrepreneurial dad is communication. See, I deeply believe that the soft skills are becoming more valuable, not less, especially in this AI world. So my wife and I, we push our girls to order their own food, introduce themselves, talk to adults, ask questions, speak clearly, confidently. And honestly, sometimes as a parent, this is super painful because it's just easier to do it yourself or to do it for them, right? You're in a hurry, you're busy, you want to move things along, but guess what? Your convenience is often stealing their growth opportunity. So I have to literally stop myself and say, nope, John, let them do it. Even if it takes longer, even if it's awkward, because those reps matter. Communication is reps, confidence is reps, resilience is reps, and all of that compounds. Okay, so when I think about parenting as an entrepreneur, I really come back to 4 things. Raise anti-fragile kids. Expose them to as much of the world as possible. Teach them how to create value and help them communicate confidently. That's the list. It's not perfection. It's not control. It's not trying to create the perfect optimized child. It's just preparing them for reality. Because guess what? Reality is hard sometimes, but it's also beautiful. And I think our job as parents is not to remove every obstacle. Let's try to help our kids become the type of people who can move through the obstacles. That's the goal. All right, I'm curious, what's one thing your parents taught you that made you stronger later in life? Sometimes we don't stop, look back, and really appreciate what our parents taught us. Drop that in the comments. And if you're a parent, entrepreneur, leader, or just someone trying to grow to be a better human, hit subscribe and follow for more.